Gila tu.
So, welcome back to the BGD Podcast with your hosts Michael, Hariz, and Zaty. Our last episode we talked about introductions on so you want to powerlift, and so we briefly touched on motivations behind lifting, and so this episode will explore a bit more on why do we lift, or I guess why do we live in the gym. And and so I think this is a pretty interesting topic to touch on because I think especially in the context of the pandemic recently, because we've seen a lot of people I think struggle to at least like fight to keep gyms open, especially in places where gyms are closing down seriously. And so I think there seems to be, I mean, quite a defense, or like quite a defense, or like a standing up for gyms to be kept open. I think why do you guys think that is?
Economic reasons, one.
Yeah.
I think.
Hmm.
Number two, I think that's from the business standpoint.
Yeah.
But from from the lifter standpoint,
Yeah.
it's to just keep some things that was routine, in and out, fixed in your life. Because there's so many things going out, and that they don't get to keep. So like their normal routine that you go to work or school, they can't do that anymore. So socially as well, you can't be together. So at least some part of your life they want to stay. And for most people who lives, I guess lifters, and that should be the gym where they find, I guess, a way to seek asylum, I suppose, in their own mind, their own bubble. So I guess that's what I can say. I don't know. What about you, Hariz? What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely agree with Zaty. Like from the business, from the supply standpoint, the business, of course, they want to keep the people coming to the gym. They want to keep surviving, making money. Then from the customer standpoint, yeah, I think it's kind of funny. Like I think during this pandemic is when people probably realize how much like of a routine going to the gym is, and how weird it feels once it's like taken away from them. It almost feels like you can't brush your teeth or something like that. It's something that's so routine, and when it's out of your daily life, it feels like you did something wrong, or you're forgetting to do something right.
You
So
lost
yeah, I
part of
think
your
that's
life.
definitely a mental aspect. Health, I'm pretty sure most people who are really like gym addicts or like gym junkies probably do it more for the mental aspect of it, more so than the health. At least that's what I would think so lah. Yeah.
What do you think, Michael, then?
Yeah, I mean, I guess the first thing that I think about, I guess, when I go to the gym is like training, or at least like lifting, kind of give some like aids in some way, like in people's mental health, like, right? Like because I remember as well, like when I was just starting out lifting as well, I think a big part of going to the gym was the fact that I was able to like vent, some sort of frustration, or like during the day, into just being aggressive, or being lifting heavy shit or lifting weights. And I think that's helped a lot in terms of I guess anger management in that sense. I used to be a feisty guy, so from my water polo days, and so I think it's helped a lot, in that sense, going to the gym, and
It made you mellow?
not mellow, not so much mellow, more like it kind of gave me an outlet to just like vent, otherwise I think you just feel really stressed out. I guess I mean
Yeah.
everyone has their own ways, right? Like, I mean, you play computer games, you listen to music, you go for a walk. I guess gyms are just going to the gym is just one of those things for me, right? And I think it's the same for a lot of people as well, and that's why it's such a big faff, what's going on. And yeah, health as well, like I mean, let's get real, right? I mean, not if you're a competitive powerlifter, health is probably not your number one priority in powerlifting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, longevity, sure. We want to be lifting for as long as we can, but you've got athletes, in different weight classes, and the extents you go to compete, just to meet a weight class. I mean, it's definitely not so much of a health concern anymore, right? And I feel Yeah, mental and just kind of, I guess, the desire to get stronger, or the desire to improve. I think it's just it's something that everyone can relate to, I suppose. Because I guess with my competitive history as well, when I was a water polo player, I
Can I
guess.
be quite honest?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so I wanted to say that because he was talking about mental, and I like to admit something that was a
Yeah.
bit, I guess, embarrassing, is that I have nowhere to be. That's why I go to the gym.
So,
Right.
Like literally, I wake up, I do my work, and I don't know, fill some time. Then I'm like, it's time to go to the gym. That has been my, I guess, like the pinnacle of my day.
yeah.
And then this lockdown kind of happened, and your day all kind of returned to yourself and to at home, sorry. And then you're like, oh shit, man! Like you kind of want to go somewhere, and that somewhere has always been the gym. So I think that's partly also reason why people want to go to the gym.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine this situation that you're facing is more applicable to people who are competitive and who do it for more competitive, like self-fulfillment reasons, lah. That's when
I
it
think so
tricky.
though. Like I know like some people who just do it for coping mechanism, like people who just need to be somewhere where they're just by themselves, and usually that can be the gym as well. You don't have to be a competitive bodybuilder, powerlifter, or weightlifter even. Like you're just the guy who likes to go to the gym because it fills up your time.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that was what I was getting at. In terms of when I started out like lifting and stuff, it was just me, the weights, and just music, just me banging out at the weights.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, and then again on the other end of things, I think right now we definitely have a bit more different sort of reasons to go in the gym. I feel like now we look for the social aspect of going to the gym, right? I think a lot of people, I guess they find it quite nice to interact with people and meet people that are like-minded in the gym, right? So what if your experience has been, I guess, like do you think that social aspects, and just the community in general is a big part of why you go to the gym?
100%. Because the first lockdown that we had, I'm not gonna complain. I'm not gonna be that person that complains, oh god, I got to train at home, blah blah blah. I'm grateful for that opportunity. Thank you to the gyms that helped and Hariz that lent me his barbell. But I was like struggling to just stay true to the program when I was training at home. It's because I don't know, I was so neurotic in the whole process, and usually that's been taken away if I go friends or just generally people to talk. So I think that's first lockdown is such a revelation of that I'm such a social person, I think, and social is a huge part in lifting for me.
What the hell am I doing, sir?
Yeah, and then never know what you have until you lose it, right?
Yeah, it's like I was slapped across my face, and I was like, oh god, I don't think I train alone. And failing few lifts, training alone was the scariest bit. So I think if you do what we do, I think definitely some friends around is nice to have.
Yeah.
I that's what I guess I like. I think Hariz I think you mentioned to me before that you kind of like home training, right, Hariz?
Yeah. So I mean. Yeah, I can definitely imagine some people who maybe instead of for us we have that mental aspect of wanting to go to the gym. I can imagine some people, for them it's purely the social or the communal aspect of the gym. Like if they don't have friends going to the gym, they probably won't go to the gym,
Yeah.
So maybe for them, yeah. So but for me, I'd say I tend to lean on like the other end of the spectrum, I guess, because I've always like, even when I was in school and stuff like that, like in college, university, I've always been the guy in my batch who was like the only guy who is obsessed with not obsessed but who takes lifting like as serious as I did. So I always had to do things alone lah. So I guess I got used to being alone in the gym, training alone, and that kind of grew like grew onto me. And then, yeah, so even when I was locked down and I had equipment in my house, it was actually sort of enjoyable. Like to be honest, I actually kind of enjoyed being alone in the gym and being able to focus. And not that talking with people is a distraction, but to an extent, it can get quite draining, like when I'm constantly having to juggle between like how much I want to focus and how much I want to entertain other people, right? So yeah, personally, I don't really buy into the social aspect of lifting and training and stuff like that. Yeah, I prefer the train alone lah. Very introverted in that sense.
What about you, Michael? You're like home training at the moment, so
Yeah, currently I got this nice little home setup thanks to a very kind fellow from one of the gyms that I go to. And so it's I think the biggest part I miss about training in a gym is the people. I think because it's quite different, training at home, where it's a closed space and you kind of just train wherever, whenever you want, versus training in the gym where it's oh fuck, I gotta get this done before 10, not the gym's gonna close. I think
yeah,
that in itself like is
the rush.
yeah, it's the rush, I guess it's the people as well. You go in, you see familiar faces, and you I'm not per se like engaged in conversation, because I take my training quite seriously as well, like I with that sense, I'm quite grateful, that I'm able to train myself and get everything done. But also, let's say, if I hit like a PB or anything, it's, I guess, what Harry said as well, like, if no, wait, what Zaty said, sorry, about like the safety and of lifts, right? That's one thing as well. And I guess another thing, it's like, it's quite nice to celebrate your lifts after you've done them, if you did well. And I think that's what I miss the most, right? It's like, how far if I hit like this massive PV, right? And it's like, oh, it's just me, and it's like, yeah, okay.
Like, oh no,
that's great, but you kind of want to, have that sort of community around you, and yeah, you can kind of flex.
Like,
to,
here you go, king.
Yeah, here you
Drop
go,
the
king.
crown.
Yeah. And so I guess, yeah, with that, yeah, that's why I miss the most. I guess like it's more so the people around you. It's the same thing as well. If someone else is lifting and if they hit PBs as well, like I celebrate with them as well. Like that's the kind of community we're talking about, right? And I guess in the more general sense,
Yeah,
it's just seeing familiar faces in the gym, walking in, going out for drinks with them. Because I imagine for a lot of people, it's their main, or at least one of their main ways of meeting people, I think, of interacting with people.
I think for me, I made tremendous amount of friends throughout lifting, and I don't know if like you go to like a club, this is minus the alcohol. It's the same thing. It's loud music, sweat. It's it's the same shit.
It is.
It's
There's grinding
loud
happening, right?
and
Grinding happens in the gym too.
Grinding happens in the gym too.
it's a
Yeah.
different kind of like
Myron, everyone's Myron each other.
Myron.
Yeah.
that joke with my friend because she didn't understand why I was going to the gym like 4 or 5 times when I started. And in uni, everybody went to the club, and I was like, nah, Friday night I'm hitting the gym. Like, I'm at the bar, but just barbell.
Mhm.
So
Barbell.
Yeah.
yeah, so I was like, yeah, it's kind of like the club though. Like, if you look around, like this, like my uni gym was so crowded. It was definitely not social distancing friendly. And everybody was like in everyone's face. I don't know why I thoroughly enjoyed that, but it made me a lot of friends. It made me aware of like, there were different type of lifters. There's like the Olympic weightlifter, so much space, and there's the typical bro that sticks up, the dumbbell, never really put it back, that kind of stereotypes. So all of those exist, and it's such an eye opener for someone who was new at the time. And now, like, I'm a bit more, I guess, seasoned lifter. I don't really enjoy those, but I still ride off the energy that, like you said just now, Michael, like, okay, someone hit a PB. It just drives me, oh shit, next block, I'm just gonna push these numbers and blah, blah, blah. And I get that energy, I thrive off that energy. But I definitely don't like when people kind of like interrupt me midway thing, like everything. Shush. Like that sort of is what that I like.
Yeah, I think the community definitely has to be right also. Like, it can't just be any old community that you go to and then you enjoy. Because I mean, realistically, now you're going to a gym as well, right? With a lot of people, but you don't know those guys. So it's not just like the
Yeah.
sake of having people around you.
Yeah.
It's also the people that that you're comfortable with, and that you can be yourself and without being judged, which typically is the case for gyms that are more powerlifting friendly lah. Yeah, even myself, despite really enjoy training alone, and I would even go so far as to say that I probably thrive lifting alone in that solitude, isolated environment. I do also like to have sessions with like people who I'm like comfortable with every now and then, lah. Like just change things up, change scenery up a bit, and that also get me more hyped, I guess, if I'm lifting with like maybe like a 2 or 3 people that I'm really close with or I'm really comfortable with. So yeah, I think it's really dependent on the community itself, like in the gym.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I can see why all the different reasons that we actually go to the gym. And I mean, it sounds like the common factor is almost like it's more so just kind of comfort. I think that's I think, and it's for for what we feel comfortable with. I think with the amount of social interaction or or solitude, or I think it's just something that we enjoy doing in that sense.
For some parts, is that I kind of like going to the gym because it reminds me, it doesn't allow me to think about other parts of my life that's not going right.
That's a big deal though. That's a big deal. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for
for
sure.
real. Like, I don't want to meet sorry, if my other friends are listening, I'm not saying that I don't want to meet you, but I'm saying that the kind of conversations that I have with my lifting friends and the kind of conversation that I have with my non-lifting friends are worlds apart. I'm telling you, I think the kind of conversation that I have with my friends who lifts, or like people who I meet at the gym, are very like not small talk, but things that are a bit more lighthearted, I suppose. I don't know if it attracts a similar type of personality, or I'm a different person when I'm at the gym. But friends who are like non-lifters, we talk about like world problems, like, oh my god, should I take this loan or should I take, like, mate, I don't want to think about that. Like, really, I think that's a huge.
Let's just
reason
talk about
why-
lifting.
Yeah.
Let's just talk about like the new slippers, like, or let's just talk like the new leggings. I like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Definitely. So it's quite a nice like escape in that sense, right?
It's
From-
100% escapism.
Right. Okay. So from I guess we all have competed at some point in our lifting careers. What made you guys? I'm curious, and I'm sure what I think people are curious as well. Like, why? What are the reasons behind us competing? Because obviously being competitive takes its toll. It's time consuming. It's something that it's more than just a hobby at this point, right? It's
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah. Well, why do you guys start competing?
My first competition was just purely egoistic. Like, I just like I need to do something. Like I mentioned before, like I need to do something, and it was just that. I remember emailing to my then coach, was coaching the whole barbell club. It's like, oh, I want to compete in the BUCS, which is the university competition at for the UK universities. And he's like, yeah, sure, I'll put you on a program. And I just started lifting like 3-4 months at that point. So that was the reason why I started competing without any like long-term goal, why I want to be a competitive lifter. Then after that, I think it was just, this reveals a lot about me, but I was just a bit underwhelmed that I didn't get anything, like achieve anything much. So going for competition tells me like I'm working towards something. So it's like small wins every single bit. And it doesn't really, I mean, especially in Malaysia, if you're a female lifter, you definitely get a medal, whatever meet you do. no cap, like for real.
No cap.
Like, yeah, like for like you definitely get some medal. Like
Here's your
you don't have
crowns,
to worry
queens.
about it. Correct. So like the only competition you have is yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the, I guess that's midway through, and like now it's a bit more, since I've been spending so much time investing, you know, my daily time towards lifting or lifting related, and I'm also running like the coaching thing with Good Gains. It was it just made sense that I go through the whole process lah. Like I'm one of those people who, in short, like to achieve, I suppose. So yeah, I don't know. What about you guys? Like, why do you guys compete?
I think for me, even growing up, I think when I look back at it, I think I've always been not really like a super kiasu guy, but I did find myself trying to be quite competitive in the that I chose to pursue. So when I was younger, it was games. I think I remember. So like I have a lot of guy siblings and even a lot of guy cousins around my age. So we were pretty competitive in back then. It was Pokemon, so we used to like trade Pokemon and battle among each other, and it got quite heated, to be honest. Yeah. So Pokemon, and then
Like actual competition?
yeah.
among
So
Pokemon?
so we would have like sleepovers, and then we would have Pokemon battles like on the Game Boy lah. So let's say me, and then I would battle my cousin, and then we like that kind of stuff like we team up battle, and it became kind of like an annual thing. Like we would sleep over at the end of the year during a school holiday, and we would battle, and then so we had like 1 year to train out basically lah, and then we and then we competed among each other, and it was the same for other games as well. I think it was also like there was some point in my life I got into Dota. I think so I got quite invested in Dota. Like I read up all the strategies. I followed a lot of the top players and the games and stuff like that. And I really tried my best to like perfect my craft lah, so to speak. When I got into lifting and when I got into powerlifting training, I felt like it was just the most natural thing to do lah. Like at some point, I've been taking this stuff really seriously, so it just makes sense for me to try to want to express it in some way lah. But that was mostly for me. It was just mostly, I guess, if you want to call it self-actualization, like like very intrinsic, internal sort of stuff. For the most part, for me lah.
I
Is it
see.
the same for you, Michael?
Yeah. I guess it's more. It's kind of carrying over from that competitive sort of desire in my during my water polo days. Like, because back then it was always like you gotta be the best. You gotta be better than anyone else, right? And I feel like that's something that I feel very strongly. I think sometimes like it's important to be constantly challenging yourself, right? And I think that's the biggest part of it for me. Like when I started powerlifting, I think the biggest kind of the biggest challenge for me to get, or at least the biggest obstacle for me to get over was, I mean, there's no one else who else wants to see you succeed in this sport, right? No one else. Like it's just you.
Yep.
You are your own competition, right? And I think that was
Yes.
that's the biggest difference. But it was enough for me. It was I had something to work. I had something to be better than, and I knew how to get there, or at least I mean back then I was learning, and I was like interested in finding out how to get better. And I think it was a pretty good sort of segue into powerlifting, in terms of competitiveness. And so today, I guess it's more so of like a personal thing. It's where I just want to be stronger, and I want there to be someone that tells me, yeah, okay, you know what, this lift is good. It's on the board. And you got it, and I guess it's in that sense it's quite egoistic, I guess. It's self-centered,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I think having a personal goal is
It's the most righteous way, though.
yeah. I mean, it keeps you. I mean, yeah, it is the most righteous way, right? I mean, you get this. I guess at least for me, like I get a pretty sick drive out of it. Just kind of knowing that, like if I kind of cook, right, cook my squat for like 4 weeks, 8 weeks, and at the end of it, like I hit a massive PB. Like that's just insane. It's like you seeing the rewards of your effort, right? And I feel like that's the best part about competing. It's that you're able to visualize. You can visually see your reward. And I think that's why I compete, really. And of
Yeah, I
course,
I agree 100%.
yeah, and this competition, doesn't come cheap. Of course, powerlifting is a sport, where we don't you. It's a sport where if you're a national athlete, you have to pay to compete, right? At least as far as I know so far, which is a bit of
As far
a
as Malaysian goes, though.
as far as Malaysia goes, right?
Yeah, as far as Malaysia goes.
Yeah, and so I think one of the reasons as well, I think when you get to a certain level is that well, it's probably not the biggest reason, but I mean there is, like, I think we are starting to adopt something more of a financial sort of incentive based competitions. Like I think recently we have Malaya Mayhem with I think they had a reward, was it?
yeah, it was
Yep.
quite a hefty reward too as well. Yep, if you ask me,
Yeah,
pretty
and
big for
It was
like
the
for like an
first
entry.
cash.
Yep.
No, sorry, it was the first cash meet. I think it was organized without the feds
mm,
that they associate themselves with.
yeah,
So it definitely pulls a lot of attraction from people within this part of the world, Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia even. So it was very interesting to see.
mm.
So
Yeah, and so and that means that like a financial. I mean, there is definitely like a financial reason behind why anyone would put themselves through such like torture just to get stronger, right? And so
I think people were waiting for it though.
yeah, we just
They were waiting for some cash prize anyway.
yeah. I mean, that's the best way to grow something, right? They're like you get more people interested. I mean, what do people like?
It's definitely the
Everyone's
biggest
like cash.
incentive.
Yeah, everyone likes cash, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and those people, including me, was very interested in the fact that it was like, oh, okay, there's gonna be cash. I was like, okay, I see what you're talking about. So it really like it locks you in
yeah,
because then closing that third deadlift feels more fulfilling than rather than just, I guess another PB,
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It's like you've
It's
won
it's
something.
a bit more. Yeah. So like it can
Actually,
turn into
what?
something spectator. Yeah, it's like you can be
Something
a bit
tangible
like a
other than a
spectator
medal.
sport,
Mm.
Yeah.
Like I think for most part, powerlifting is a very boring sport to watch if you're not that deep into it.
Yep.
It's like golf. You see, like I don't want to watch golf, but play golf probably. Something.
I just want to add like a little bit onto like reasons why people compete. This is like non-biased, but powerlifting competitions or meets are actually like really fun. Like, and I'm not just saying it just because I'm a powerlifter and I compete, but I'm pretty sure for some of my clients who dabble into it for the first time, the feedback that I got from them was generally they had a good time. So for the viewers, like if you have thought about wanting to get into powerlifting for a while now and you're hesitant, I'd say just like the fun itself that you get and the environment you get from a meet itself, I think that would be worthwhile. Yeah, your money and your time. At least that's my opinion, lah.
All
Even
right.
if not for those factors that we outlined before.
Yeah, definitely. I think competing like it brings a whole new flavor towards lifting, and besides having just besides just being there for your health, for the mental aspect of it, and the social aspect of it, right? And obviously, like I think powerlifting in general, like I think recently has become almost like a pretty I don't want to call it expensive, but like there's a lot of equipment out there that's pretty focused on powerlifting. And I mean, like we were saying before, we're paying for competitions as well. That's quite a lot of money to be putting in a hobby that wouldn't get you any financial reward. unless you're like the best of the best, right? And so in our next episode, we'll be talking about supporting powerlifting, as a hobby and career, and how, what are the challenges and whether it's feasible with the state of things in Malaysia. And yeah, so I guess we'll close off our second episode of the podcast, and see you guys in the next one.